Chicago, 2115. The neon arteries of Neo-Chicago pulse against the perpetual twilight, casting electric blues and toxic greens across rain-slicked streets 60 stories below. Corporate towers pierce the small glare like chrome needles, their surfaces alive with holographic advertisements that shift and writhe in languages both human and algorithmic. In this world, neural implants are as common as contact lenses once were, and privacy is just another commodity sold to the highest bidder. Detective Sonny Nakamura stares at the message floating in his neural display, the words burning into his retinas like a neon sign. The Moor delivers all the city's needs. The timestamp shows it arrived 3 hours ago from Attorney General Rebecca Martinez, 3 hours before her body was found floating in Lake Michigan, her neural implant fried beyond recovery. The message's simplicity makes Sonny's skin crawl. In a world where corporate surveillance monitors every breath, Martinez had risked everything to send these 7 words. Now she was dead, and Sonny was holding the match that might burn down the most powerful corporation in Neo-Chicago. He leans back in his chair at the 47th Precinct, watching the endless stream of Moor Corporation delivery drones through the rain-streaked window. Like mechanical locusts, they swarm between the towers, their corporate logo, a stylized M wrapped in circuit patterns, glowing soft blue against their black hulls. The Moor Corporation had indeed become Chicago's lifeline, delivering everything from synthetic food to replacement organs to the 40 million souls crammed into the vertical city. "Something bothering you?" Detective Daniel Spring's voice cuts through Sonny's thoughts. Daniel slides into the chair across from him, his movements precise and controlled, a habit from his military days before the police academy. At 32, Daniel carries himself with the quiet confidence of someone who's faced real danger, though his expensive suit and perfectly styled hair suggest he's adapted well to civilian life. Sonny studies his colleague's face. Daniel has been acting strange lately. Secretive phone calls, unexplained absences, and that new watch that probably costs more than Sonny's monthly salary. The department runs background checks, but money has a way of finding cracks in any system. "Martinez sent me something before she died," Sonny says, forwarding the message to Daniel's neural display. 7 words, that's all. Daniel's eyes unfocus slightly as he reads the message, his neural implant processing the data. "The Moor delivers all the city's needs," he repeats aloud. Cryptic. Or obvious. Think about it. How do you move drugs through a city where every street corner has surveillance, every building has scanners, every person has tracking implants? You use the one delivery system nobody questions. Daniel nods slowly, but something flickers across his expression. Caution, maybe. Fear. That's a serious accusation, Sonny. The Moor Corporation employs half the city. Their CEO, Alice Moor, is practically royalty around here. Daniel nods slowly, but something flickers across his expression. Caution. Maybe fear. That's a serious accusation, Sonny. The Moor Corporation employs half the city. Their CEO, Alice Moor, is practically royalty around here. The way Daniel says Alice's name bothers Sonny, too familiar somehow. But before he can probe deeper, his neural display chimes with an incoming data stream. The Moor Corporation's delivery manifests for the past 6 months, obtained through a warrant that took 3 weeks to process and probably cost Martinez her life. "I need to check something," Sonny says, standing abruptly. "Cover for me if anyone asks." Daniel's hand shoots out, gripping Sonny's wrist. "Where are you going?" The touch is electric, desperate. Sonny stares down at Daniel's manicured fingers, too soft for a cop, too clean. "Just following a lead. Maybe you should wait for backup, or at least take me with you." I work better alone, Sonny pulls free, noting how Daniel's grip lingers a moment too long. Besides, someone needs to stay here and make sure our investigation doesn't leak to the wrong people. Daniel's face goes pale at the implication, but Sonny is already walking away, his neural implant calculating the fastest route to the Moor Corporation's central distribution hub in Sector 7. The abandoned warehouse district of Sector 7 exists in the shadow of the corporate towers, a graveyard of old Chicago's industrial dreams. Here, the Moor Corporation maintains its vast logistics network, automated sorting facilities, drone maintenance bays, and storage complexes that stretch for miles beneath the city streets. Sonny crouches behind a stack of corroded shipping containers, his enhanced vision cutting through the perpetual gloom. The delivery manifests dance across his neural display like digital ghosts, revealing patterns that make his detective instincts scream warnings. Every major drug bust in the past year has happened in areas where more deliveries were scheduled but never arrived. Every overdose cluster coincides with routing errors in the delivery system, and most damning of all, the corporation has been shipping ion batteries to the edge of the city, to areas so remote and economically depressed that the transportation costs should bankrupt any rational business. Ion batteries. Heavy, expensive, inefficient compared to the lithium alternatives that every other corporation uses. Unless, of course, you're not really shipping batteries at all. Sonny's fingers dance across his portable interface, hacking into the local distribution node. The Moor Corporation's security is impressive. Layers of encryption and neural fire protocols designed to fry unauthorized users. But Sonny has advantages. Military-grade implants from his Army days, enhanced with black market modifications that technically violate about 15 federal laws. The data streams into his visual cortex like liquid fire. Shipping containers filled with ion batteries that weigh 40% less than they should. Delivery routes that bypass every government checkpoint and corporate scanner in the city. And payments, massive, untraceable payments flowing from shell companies registered in the lawless orbital stations above Earth. Jesus, he whispers, the scope of the operation hitting him like a physical blow. The Moor Corporation isn't just enabling drug trafficking, they are the drug trafficking network. The whole legitimate business is a front, a city-spanning distribution system that makes every other criminal organization look like corner dealers.
His neural implant chimes with an urgent warning. Movement detected. Multiple hostiles converging on his position. Sonny looks up from his interface to see shadows detaching themselves from the industrial machinery around him. Corporate security in matte black tactical gear, their faces hidden behind military-grade helmets. "Detective Nakamura," one of them says, his voice synthesized and emotionless. "You're trespassing on corporate property." Sonny's hand moves to his weapon, but stops when he counts the targeting lasers painting red dots across his chest. 6 operatives, professional spacing, escape routes already calculated and blocked. These aren't security guards, they're chillers, and they've done this before. "I'm conducting a legal investigation under Warrant 47 Alpha 9, Sonny says, slowly raising his hands. "Any interference with your warrant doesn't extend to breaking and entering. Corporate law supersedes municipal authority in this sector." The other operatives begin closing the circle, their movements synchronized like a pack of mechanical predators. Sonny's enhanced reflexes calculate odds, angles, possibilities, all of them ending with his body floating in Lake Michigan beside Attorney General Martinez. Then, the lights go out. The warehouse plunges into absolute darkness as every security system, every surveillance camera, every neural network in a 6-block radius crashes simultaneously. In the chaos that follows, Sonny hears the sharp crack of energy weapons, the wet sounds of bodies hitting concrete, and something else, the distinctive hum of military-grade combat implants operating at maximum capacity. When emergency lighting flickers back online 30 seconds later, the corporate operatives are gone. Not fled, gone. Vanished like digital ghosts, leaving only scorch marks on the warehouse floor and the metallic scent of ionized air. "Sonny, oh God, Sonny, are you hurt?" Detective Hannah Cruz materializes from the shadows like an avenging angel. her sleek form encased in smart fabric armor that shifts color to match her surroundings. Her neural implants glow soft amber in the darkness, and her enhanced eyes sweep the warehouse with predatory efficiency. Sonny has never been so happy to see his partner in his life. "Hana? What are you doing here?" She helps him to his feet, her touch gentle but her expression fierce. "Daniel told me you'd gone off alone. I tracked your neurosignature when you went dark." She gestures at the scorch marks around them. "Good thing too. Corporate security doesn't usually leave witnesses." Sonny looks around the warehouse with new understanding. 6 professional killers, eliminated without a trace by his partner, a woman who barely comes up to his shoulder, but apparently carries enough firepower to level a city block. "You saved my life," he says, still processing the violence he'd witnessed. Hana's expression softens, and for a moment she looks vulnerable instead of dangerous. "You're my partner, Sonny. I'd do anything to protect you." The way she says it makes something twist in his chest, affection mixed with guilt. They've been dancing around their feelings for months, their professional relationship gradually evolving into something deeper and more complicated. Hana is brilliant, deadly, and beautiful in a way that corporate models look like cheap synthetics. And apparently, she's willing to commit multiple homicides to keep him alive. "We need to get out of here," she continues, taking his arm. "Corporate cleanup crews will be here soon, and we don't want to explain what happened to those operatives."
As they move through the warehouse toward the exit, Sonny's enhanced vision catches something the attackers left behind, a data chip, small and innocuous, partially hidden beneath an overturned crate. He palms it without thinking, his detective instincts overriding his gratitude. Outside, the neon-soaked streets of Sector 7 feel safer than the darkness of the warehouse, but Sonny can't shake the feeling that he stepped into something much larger and more dangerous than a simple corruption case. The Moor Corporation has reach, resources, and the willingness to kill anyone who gets too close to their secrets. But they've made one mistake. They've threatened his partner, and that makes it personal. The 47th Precinct buzzes with late-night activity. Detectives and analysts hunched over neural interfaces, their enhanced minds processing data streams from across the city. Sonny sits at his desk, the recovered data chip burning like a guilty secret in his jacket pocket, while he watches Daniel spring through the glass walls of the conference room. Daniel is on another one of his mysterious phone calls, his body language tense and secretive. As Sonny watches, Daniel glances toward him, their eyes meeting for a moment, before Daniel turns away and continues his conversation. The timing bothers Sonny. He'd told Daniel about Martinez's message, about his suspicions regarding the Moor Corporation, and within hours, he'd been attacked by corporate killers. Either Daniel was the unluckiest cop in Chicago, or he was feeding information to the wrong people. "You're brooding again." Hana slides into the chair next to him, 2 cups of synthetic coffee in her hands. The precinct's night lighting turns her auburn hair into liquid copper, and her enhanced eyes catch and reflect the ambient glow like a cat's. "Just thinking about what happened tonight," Sonny says, accepting the coffee gratefully. "Those weren't ordinary security guards, Hana. They moved like military, fought like professionals, and they knew exactly where to find me." Hana's expression grows serious. "You think someone tipped them off?" Sonny glances toward the conference room, where Daniel is still deep in his secretive conversation. "I only told one person where I was going." "Daniel." Hana's voice carries a note of disappointment, as if she'd hoped Sonny would reach a different conclusion. "I've been wondering about him lately. The expensive clothes, the secretive behavior, the defensive attitude whenever I mention the Moor Corporation. It's like he's protecting someone. Or something." Hana leans closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I've been doing some research on Alice Moor. Did you know she's been quietly buying political influence for years? Campaign contributions, charitable donations, private consulting contracts. She's got half the city in her pocket." The information fits Sonny's growing suspicions about the scope of the Moor Corporation's operations, but something about Hana's delivery bothers him. She sounds almost pleased about her discoveries, as if Alice Moor's corruption validates some private theory. "How did you find all this?" "Public records, financial databases, some creative data mining." Hana's smile turns predatory. "Alice Moor is very careful but money leaves traces if you know where to look. I think she's been using her legitimate business to cover massive criminal operations, drugs, weapons, maybe human trafficking. That's a serious accusation. So was Martinez's message. The Moor delivers all the city's needs, including drugs to every corner of the city. Hana's enhanced eyes gleam with conviction. We're looking at the biggest criminal conspiracy in Chicago's history, Sonny, and Alice Moore is at the center of it. Sonny nods, but his attention drifts back to Daniel, who has finally ended his phone call and is walking toward them with careful, measured steps. Daniel's expression is neutral, professional, but there's tension in his shoulders that suggests internal conflict.
Any progress on the Martinez case? Daniel asks, settling into his chair with practiced casualness. Some, Sonny replies, studying Daniel's face for tells. We're developing a theory about the Moor Corporation's delivery network. Oh? Daniel's voice is carefully controlled, but his pupils dilate slightly, a stress response that his neural implants can't quite suppress. What kind of theory? That they're using legitimate shipments to move contraband, Hana answers before Sonny can respond. Hidden compartments, false manifests, corrupted inspection records, the whole system is designed for smuggling. Daniel's reaction is subtle but telling, a slight tightening around his eyes, a barely perceptible shift in his breathing pattern. That's a pretty sophisticated operation you're describing. Do you have evidence? We're working on it, Sonny says, his detective instincts screaming warnings. Daniel's questions feel less like curiosity and more like intelligence gathering. Why do you ask? Just want to make sure we're building a solid case. The Moor Corporation has expensive lawyers and political connections. If we're going to accuse them of criminal conspiracy, we need bulletproof evidence. The concern sounds legitimate, but Sonny can't shake the feeling that Daniel is more worried about protecting the Moor Corporation than building a case against them. And there's something else. Daniel knows more about the corporation's legal resources and political connections than any honest cop should. We should be careful about who we share information with, Hana says, quietly, her gaze moving between Sonny and Daniel. If the Moor Corporation has informants in law enforcement, premature disclosure could compromise the entire investigation. Daniel's face goes pale at the implication, but he recovers quickly. Of course, operational security is crucial. He stands abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. I should get back to my own cases. Let me know if you need anything. As Daniel walks away, Sonny notices the slight tremor in his hands, the rigid set of his shoulders. Guilty conscience or fear of being discovered? Either way, Sonny is now certain that his partner is hiding something significant. You see it too, Hana says, softly, watching Daniel's retreat. See what? The way he reacted when I mentioned informants. Daniel's spring is dirty, Sonny, and I think he's feeding information to the Moor Corporation. Sonny wants to argue, to defend his colleague's integrity, but the evidence is mounting. Daniel's secretive behavior, his expensive lifestyle, his defensive reactions to questions about the case, it all points toward corruption. We should be careful about who we share information with, Sonny says finally. If the Moor Corporation has informants in law enforcement, premature disclosure could compromise the entire investigation. Hana nods, her expression grim. From now on, it's just us, partners against the world. She reaches across the desk and takes his hand, her enhanced skin warm against his palm. The gesture is both professional and intimate, a promise of loyalty that makes Sonny's chest tighten with emotion he's not ready to examine. Partners, he agrees, not knowing that he's just sealed his own fate.
Over the following weeks, Sonny and Hana's investigation into the Moor Corporation deepens into obsession. They work 18-hour days, pursuing leads through the digital underworld of Neo-Chicago, following money trails through shell companies and offshore accounts that stretch from the orbital stations to the deep-sea mining colonies. Every piece of evidence they uncover points toward the same conclusion. Alice Moor is running the largest criminal conspiracy in the city's history, using her legitimate business empire to distribute drugs, weapons, and worse throughout the urban sprawl. Hana proves herself to be a brilliant investigator, her enhanced neural interfaces allowing her to process vast amounts of data with inhuman speed and accuracy. She uncovers financial irregularities in Moor Corporation accounts, identifies patterns in delivery schedules that coincide with major drug shipments, and tracks communication networks that connect Alice Moor to known criminal organizations. "Look at this," she says one evening, her fingers dancing across a holographic display that fills half their shared workspace. Financial charts and network diagrams float in the air like digital constellations, connected by lines of light that pulse with data flows. Alice Moor has been using her charitable foundation to launder money from drug sales. Donations flow in from shell companies, then get redistributed to political campaigns and private accounts. Sonny studies the data, his enhanced vision parsing the complex relationships between corporations, politicians, and criminal organizations. The scope of the conspiracy is staggering. Alice Moor hasn't just corrupted individual officials, she's systematically purchased the entire municipal government. "How deep does this go?" he asks. "All the way to the top. The mayor, the police commissioner, half the city council. They're all taking money from Moor Corporation subsidiaries." Hana's expression is grimly satisfied, as if each revelation confirms her worst suspicions about the city's power structure. But even as they build their case against Alice Moor, Sonny can't shake his growing suspicions about Daniel Spring. His colleague has become increasingly erratic, taking unexplained absences and making expensive purchases that far exceed his police salary. Worse, Daniel seems to have inside information about our investigation, asking pointed questions about our progress and offering suggestions that feel more like misdirection than genuine help. "We need to consider the possibility that Daniel is compromised," Sonny says during one of their late-night strategy sessions. Hana looks up from her data analysis, her enhanced neural interfaces reflecting the holographic displays around them. "I've been monitoring his communication patterns, tracking his financial transactions, analyzing his behavioral markers. Daniel Spring is dirty, Sonny, and he's dangerous." That night, Sonny lies awake in his apartment, staring at the neon-washed ceiling while his enhanced mind processes the implications of Daniel's betrayal. If his colleague is indeed working for the Moor Corporation, then their entire investigation might be compromised. Worse, Daniel might be feeding their plans back to Alice Moor, allowing her to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. But there's something else troubling Sonny: Hana's certainty about Daniel's guilt. Her enhanced neural interfaces give her access to surveillance systems and data networks that border on omniscience, but even artificial intelligence can make mistakes or be manipulated by those with superior technology.
What if Daniel isn't the traitor? What if someone else is feeding information to the Moor Corporation? Someone with even deeper access to their investigation? The thought keeps him awake until dawn, when his neural implant chimes with an urgent message from Hana. "Major breakthrough. Meet me at Sector 12 Warehouse District. Come alone." Sector 12 exists in the shadow of the orbital elevators, massive structures that stretch from Earth's surface to the space stations floating in geosynchronous orbit. Here, among the industrial complexes and cargo terminals that service interplanetary trade, the Moor Corporation maintains its most sensitive operations. Sonny arrives at the designated coordinates to find Hana waiting beside an abandoned warehouse, her enhanced armor gleaming like liquid mercury in the pre-dawn gloom. She looks excited, almost euphoric, her enhanced eyes bright with the fever of discovery. "I found it," she says without preamble, "the central hub of the entire operation. Alice Moor has been using this facility to coordinate drug shipments throughout the city and beyond, to the orbital stations, the lunar colonies, even the Mars settlements." She leads him through a gap in the warehouse's security fence, her enhanced reflexes navigating the maze of motion sensors and automated defenses that protect the facility. Inside, the warehouse is a cathedral of criminal enterprise. Massive storage containers stacked 50 feet high, automated sorting systems that process thousands of packages per hour, and holographic displays that track shipments across the entire solar system. Jesus, Sonny breathes, the scope of the operation hitting him like a physical blow. This isn't just drug trafficking, it's interplanetary organized crime. Alice Moore has built an empire, Hannah agrees, her voice filled with professional admiration. Legitimate businesses providing cover for criminal operations, political corruption ensuring legal protection, and a distribution network that spans multiple worlds. She's not just a drug dealer, she's the queen of a criminal dynasty that reaches from Earth to the asteroid belt. They move deeper into the warehouse, their enhanced vision cutting through the industrial gloom to reveal the true nature of the Moor Corporation's operations. Shipping containers marked with medical supplies contain military-grade weapons. Packages labeled as food shipments are filled with synthetic drugs that would be worth billions on the black market. And everywhere, the corporate logo, that stylized M wrapped in circuit patterns, marking each container like a brand of criminality. But as they document the evidence, Sonny notices something that makes his detective instincts scream warnings. The warehouse is too empty, too unguarded for a facility this important. Where are the security systems, the armed guards, the surveillance networks that should protect a criminal empire worth trillions of credits? Hannah, he says quietly, something's wrong. This place should be crawling with security. She looks up from the shipping manifest she's photographing, her expression puzzled. You're right. It's like they abandoned the facility. Or like they're being led into a trap. The realization hits Sonny like an electric shock, his enhanced neural processes suddenly connecting dots that he'd been missing for weeks. The convenient discovery of evidence, the perfectly timed rescues, the way Hannah always seemed to know exactly where to look for incriminating information. It's all been too easy, too convenient. Hannah, he says carefully, how did you find this place? Data analysis, pattern recognition, following the muddy trails. She stops, her enhanced eyes meeting his with sudden understanding. Sonny, what are you thinking? I'm thinking that Alice Moore is too smart to leave evidence lying around for us to find. I'm thinking that someone with access to our investigation has been feeding us information, leading us exactly where they want us to go. His hand moves slowly toward his weapon. I'm thinking that Daniel Spring might not be the only one with divided loyalties. Hannah's expression shifts from confusion to hurt to something harder and more dangerous. You suspect me? I suspect everyone right now. This whole investigation feels orchestrated, Hannah. Every piece of evidence, every breakthrough, every convenient rescue. It's all been too perfect.
For a long moment, they stare at each other across the warehouse floor, partners who have shared danger and intimacy, now separated by an abyss of suspicion. Hannah's enhanced reflexes are coiled like springs, her combat implants humming with barely restrained energy. Then she smiles, and the expression is so genuinely hurt and disappointed that Sonny feels like an idiot for doubting her. You're paranoid, she says softly. This case is getting to you, Sonny. The stress, the danger, the constant threat, it's making you see conspiracies where there are just coincidences. She moves closer, her hand reaching out to touch his arm. I understand why you're suspicious. We've uncovered something huge, something that powerful people will kill to protect. But we're the good guys, Sonny. We're the ones fighting for justice. Her touch is warm, reassuring, and Sonny feels his suspicions melting away like digital static. Hannah is his partner, his lover, the woman who has saved his life multiple times and shared the dangers of our investigation. The idea that she could be working against him is not just paranoid, it's insulting to everything they've built together. You're right, he says, holstering his weapon and returning her embrace. "I'm sorry. This case has me jumping at shadows." "It's okay," she whispers against his chest. "We're almost finished. Once we arrest Alice Moore and expose her criminal empire, we can finally relax." But even as he holds her, Sonny can't quite shake the feeling that something fundamental has shifted between them. The seed of suspicion, once planted, refuses to be completely uprooted. They spend another hour documenting the warehouse, collecting evidence that will hopefully put Alice Moore behind bars for the rest of her extended life. But as they prepare to leave, Sonny notices something that makes his blood run cold. A shipping container in the far corner of the warehouse, marked with familiar corporate logos. Daniel Spring's financial records, the ones Hannah had uncovered weeks earlier, showed payments from several shell companies. The same shell companies whose logos now decorate the container in front of him. Either Daniel is involved with the Moor Corporation's criminal operations, or someone has been very carefully constructing evidence to make him appear guilty. "Hannah," Sonny says quietly, "I think we need to reconsider our assumptions about Daniel." But when he turns around, his partner is gone, vanished into the industrial maze of the warehouse like a ghost made of flesh and circuitry. The final confrontation comes 2 weeks later, in the chrome and glass executive suite of Alice Moore herself. Sonny sits across from the CEO of the Moor Corporation, studying the woman who has become the focus of his investigation. Alice Moore is younger than he expected, perhaps 40 years old, with the kind of enhanced beauty that money can buy, but genuine intelligence that no amount of technology can fake. Her office overlooks the sprawling cityscape of Neo-Chicago, 50 floors above the neon-soaked streets where ordinary citizens struggle to survive in the shadow of corporate power. "Detective Nakamura," she says, her voice carrying the cultured tones of someone born to wealth and privilege. "I understand you've been investigating my corporation." "Among other things," Sonny replies carefully. The meeting was Alice's idea, arranged through lawyers and intermediaries after weeks of mounting legal pressure from the evidence he and Hannah had collected. Now, sitting in the heart of enemy territory, Sonny feels exposed and vulnerable, despite the recording devices hidden in his jacket. "I want you to know that I appreciate your dedication to justice. Corruption in corporate America is a serious problem, and law enforcement officers like yourself are essential in maintaining public trust." The words sound sincere, but Sonny has learned not to trust appearances. "Ms. Moore, my investigation has uncovered evidence of massive criminal activity within your organization. Drug trafficking, money laundering, political corruption, murder, the list goes on." Alice's expression remains calm, professional, but something flickers behind her enhanced eyes. Not guilt, but confusion. "Detective, I think there may have been some misunderstanding. The Moor Corporation is a legitimate business enterprise. We provide essential services to communities throughout the solar system." "Then explain the ion battery shipments to Sector 7. Explain the financial transfers to shell companies connected to known criminal organizations. Explain why 3 attorney generals have died while investigating your corporation." For the first time, Alice's composure cracks slightly. "Ion batteries? Detective, we discontinued ion battery production 3 years ago. Our entire power storage division switched to lithium-graphene hybrid technology. It's more efficient, more profitable, and more environmentally sustainable." The statement hits Sonny like a physical blow. Ion batteries were central to his theory about the Moor Corporation's criminal activities. The smoking gun that connected legitimate deliveries to drug trafficking operations. If Alice is telling the truth, "I think someone has been feeding you false information," Alice continues, her voice gentle but firm. "Detective, may I ask who provided you with evidence of these supposed ion battery shipments?" Sonny's neural implants are processing data at superhuman speed, cross-referencing financial records, shipping manifests, and surveillance footage. The evidence is all there, perfectly documented, and apparently legitimate. But if Alice Moore is telling the truth about discontinuing ion battery production, then someone has been constructing an elaborate false narrative. Someone with access to corporate databases, police evidence files, and the technical expertise to forge shipping records and financial transactions. Someone who has been guiding his investigation from the beginning, feeding him information and conclusions that support a predetermined narrative. Someone like Hannah. "Ms. Moore," Sonny says carefully, "I need to ask you about your Chief Operations Officer, Charles Belfort." Alice's expression shifts from confusion to concern. "Charles? What about him? Do you trust him?" "Implicitly. Charles has been with the corporation for 15 years. He started as a junior analyst and worked his way up through dedication and brilliant strategic thinking. He's been instrumental in our expansion into interplanetary markets." "And you're not aware of any unauthorized activities within your corporation?" Alice leans forward, her enhanced eyes intense with concern. "Detective, what exactly are you suggesting?" Before Sonny can answer, the office door opens and Charles Belfort himself enters the room. He's younger than Sonny expected, perhaps 35, with the lean build and predatory grace of someone enhanced for both intellectual and physical performance. His expensive suit and confident demeanor mark him as corporate elite, but there's something else, a coldness in his eyes that suggests capabilities beyond mere business acumen. "Alice?" Charles says, his voice carrying subtle notes of authority despite Alice's senior position. "I heard Detective Nakamura was here. I thought I should join the conversation." Alice nods, but Sonny notices the slight tension in her shoulders, the way her hand moves unconsciously toward the panic button beneath her desk. Even Alice Moore, CEO and corporate royalty, is afraid of her chief operations officer. "Detective Nakamura has been asking about ion batteries and unauthorized activities," Alice says carefully. Charles's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in the room's atmosphere, a sudden chill that has nothing to do with the air conditioning. Has he, indeed? And what conclusions has the good detective reached? Sonny's enhanced senses are screaming warnings now, his combat implants preparing for violence even as his conscious mind struggles to process the implications. Charles Belfort isn't just corrupt, he's dangerous, a predator wearing the mask of corporate respectability. "I think that someone within the Moor Corporation has been using the company's resources for criminal activities. Someone with access to shipping networks, financial systems, and corporate security forces." Charles smiles, and the expression is absolutely terrifying. "Very good, detective. You're almost there." "Charles," Alice says, her voice sharp with sudden understanding. "What is he talking about?" "Oh, Alice," Charles replies, his tone almost affectionate. "Did you think your little corporate empire ran itself? Did you imagine that your profits came from legitimate business activities alone?"
The truth crashes over Sonny like a digital avalanche. Charles Belfort has been using the Moor Corporation as cover for massive criminal operations, all while keeping Alice Moore ignorant of his activities. The ion battery shipments, the shell company payments, the murdered attorney generals, it's all been Charles, operating from within Alice's organization while she remained blissfully unaware. But there's still one piece missing from the puzzle. One question that makes Sonny's blood run cold with implications. "Where's Detective Cruz?" he asks. Charles's smile widens. "Hannah should be here any moment. After all, she's been such an integral part of this operation." The words hang in the air like a death sentence. Hannah, his partner, his lover, the woman who has shared his bed and his dangers for 3 years, she's been working with Charles Belfort all along? The office door opens again, and Hannah enters with her characteristic fluid grace. But something is different about her now.
The pretense of vulnerability is gone, replaced by cold, professional competence. She moves to Charles's side like a piece of sophisticated machinery, finding its proper place in a larger mechanism. "Hello, Sonny," she says, her voice carrying none of the warmth he's grown to love. "I'm sorry it had to end this way." Alice Moor looks between them with growing horror. "Hannah? Charles? What is this?" "This," Charles says, pulling out a neural disruptor, a weapon that can fry human brain tissue from 50 feet away, "is a corporate restructuring. Alice, you've been a wonderful figurehead, but your moral qualms have become a liability. It's time for new management." Sonny's hand moves toward his weapon, but Hannah is faster. Her enhanced reflexes and military-grade combat implants make her movement a blur of deadly efficiency. Before he can clear leather, she has her own weapon trained on his chest. "Don't," she says simply. "You're outgunned and outmaneuvered, Sonny. There's no need for this to get messy." The betrayal hits him harder than any physical blow. 3 years of partnership, of shared dangers and intimate moments, of building trust in something that felt like love, all of it was a lie. Hannah had been Charles's asset from the beginning, placed in the police department to monitor investigations and eliminate threats to their operation. "How long?" Sonny asks, his voice hollow with the weight of his own stupidity. "From the beginning," Hannah replied, her enhanced eyes showing no trace of the warmth he'd fallen in love with. "Charles and I grew up together in the old districts. When he got his position at Moor Corporation, he needed someone inside law enforcement. I was already in the police academy, already enhanced with military-grade implants. It was efficient." The saves, Sonny realizes, pieces falling into place with sickening clarity. Every time you rescued me, you were actually eliminating witnesses or cleaning up loose ends. Very good. The corporate operatives in Sector 7 weren't trying to kill you. They were trying to extract you for questioning. Charles was concerned that you'd learn something significant about our ion battery operations. I eliminated them to protect our cover story and make myself look heroic in the process. Alice Moor sits frozen in her executive chair, her face pale with the realization that her entire corporate empire has been hijacked by her most trusted lieutenant. "Charles, how could you do this? I trusted you. I made you my second in command." "And I appreciated the opportunity. But Alice, you're fundamentally too moral for the kind of business we are really in. Drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, political assassination, these activities require a certain flexibility that you've never possessed." "So you used my company as cover for your criminal empire?" "Our criminal empire," Charles corrects. "Hannah and I have been building this operation for 15 years. The legitimate business activities barely break even. It's the criminal side that generates our real profits. Trillions of credits flowing through shell companies, offshore accounts, and interplanetary trade routes that your government can barely monitor."
Sonny's enhanced mind is processing the scope of their deception with mechanical precision. Every case he'd worked on, every lead he'd followed, every piece of evidence he'd discovered, it had all been orchestrated by Hannah and Charles. They hadn't been investigating a criminal conspiracy, they'd been living inside one, guided by the very people they were supposedly hunting. "Daniel Spring," he says suddenly. "He's innocent." Hannah nods with something that might be approval. "Daniel is completely clean, honest, loyal, and unfortunately for him, gay in a department that still harbors some prejudices. His secretive behavior made him a perfect scapegoat for our operation. His expensive lifestyle, inheritance and investment income through his boyfriend, who happens to be a very successful financier. We've been monitoring Daniel's activities for years, waiting for the right moment to frame him if necessary." She pauses, her expression almost fond. Daniel actually likes Alice. They've run into each other at social events, and he's always spoken highly of her character. Poor bastard has no idea he's been set up as our fall guy. The revelation makes Sonny feel sick with shame and anger. He'd suspected an innocent man while sleeping with the actual traitor. His enhanced detective instincts, his years of training and experience, none of it had been enough to see through Hana's deception. "What now?" Alice asks, her voice steady despite the neural disruptor pointed at her chest. "You kill us both and take over the corporation?" "Something like that," Charles agrees. "Though we'll need to be more creative than simple murder. Corporate succession requires board approval, shareholder votes, regulatory oversight, all very tedious but necessary for maintaining legitimacy. Alice will suffer a tragic accident, perhaps a malfunction in her neural implants, or a reaction to the enhancement drugs that keep her looking 25. Very sad, but these things happen to people who push their biological systems beyond natural limits. And Detective Nakamura will die heroically trying to save Alice Moor from her own security chief, who was revealed to be working for a rival corporation. The evidence is already in place. Financial records showing payments from competitor companies, communications suggesting industrial espionage, even video footage of meetings that never actually occurred. Sonny realizes with growing horror that they've been planning his death from the beginning. Every step of the investigation, every piece of evidence, every moment of apparent intimacy with Hana, it's all been leading to this moment when he would become another casualty in their corporate war. "You won't get away with this," he says, knowing how cliched it sounds but needing to say it anyway. "Detective," Hana replies, "we already have. The Moor Corporation will continue operating under new management. Our criminal empire will expand into new markets, and law enforcement will close the books on this case with a tragic but satisfying conclusion." She raises her weapon, and Sonny sees his own death reflected in her enhanced eyes, cold, professional, and utterly without regret. "Wait," Charles says suddenly. "Before we conclude this business, I'm curious about something. Detective, what made you finally suspicious of Hana?" It's a strange request from someone about to commit double murder, but Sonny finds himself answering honestly. The evidence was too perfect. Every breakthrough, every convenient discovery, every piece of information that supported our theory about Alice's guilt, it had all been orchestrated. And yet you continued to trust her. She saved my life, multiple times. I thought— Sonny's voice breaks slightly. "I thought she loved me." The confession hangs in the air like a prayer offered to an indifferent God. For a moment, something flickers across Hana's face. Not love exactly, but perhaps a shadow of the emotion she'd been simulating for 3 years. "I'm sorry, Sonny. If it helps, the physical relationship was pleasant. You're a good man, and under different circumstances, things might have been different. But circumstances are what they are," Charles interjects, his voice cutting through any possibility of sentiment. "Hana, please proceed." Her weapon steadies, targeting systems locking onto Sonny's chest with lethal precision. In seconds, it would all be over. His life, his failed investigation, his naive belief that justice could triumph over corruption and betrayal. But then, Alice Moor does something unexpected. The CEO of the Moor Corporation, the woman they'd been trying to frame from massive criminal conspiracy, throws herself between Sonny and Hana's weapon.
"Stop," Alice says, her voice carrying absolute authority despite her vulnerable position. "Charles, I know you think I'm naive, but I'm not stupid. Did you really believe I was unaware of your activities?" Charles's expression shifts from confidence to uncertainty. "What are you talking about? I've known about your criminal operations for months. The shell companies, the drug trafficking, the murdered attorneys general. I've been documenting everything, waiting for the right moment to act." Alice's smile is sharp as a blade. "Did you think someone could run a criminal empire inside my corporation without me noticing eventually?" "Impossible," Hana breathes, her weapon wavering slightly. "Our security protocols, our data encryption, are very impressive," Alice agrees. "But this is my company, Charles. I designed most of the systems you've been using to hide your activities. Every transaction, Every communication, every criminal act. It's all been recorded in databases you didn't even know existed. The balance of power in the room shifts suddenly and dramatically. Charles and Hannah exchange glances, their certainty cracking like damaged armor. "You're bluffing," Charles says, but there's doubt in his voice now. "Am I?" Alice touches a control surface on her desk, and the office walls come alive with holographic displays. Financial records, communication logs, surveillance footage showing Charles and Hannah coordinating their criminal activities over the course of years. "I've been building a case against you for months, waiting for you to make a move significant enough to justify your removal. Why didn't you go to the police?" "Because I needed to know how deep the corruption went. Detective Nakamura's investigation gave me the perfect opportunity to test my security and identify all the players in your operation." Alice's gaze moves to Hannah. "Including your inside asset in law enforcement." Sonny feels a surge of admiration for Alice Moor's strategic thinking, mixed with shame at his own blindness. She'd been playing a deeper game than any of them realized, allowing the investigation to proceed while gathering evidence of the real conspiracy. "This evidence won't matter if we're all dead," Hannah points out, her weapon still trained on Alice. "True," Alice agrees. "But did you really think I'd invite Detective Nakamura to this meeting without backup?" The office doors burst open and tactical officers flood into the room. Not corporate security, but genuine law enforcement officers with military-grade equipment and neurofire authorization. Their weapons are trained on Charles and Hannah with lethal precision. "Detective Spring, Chicago PD, you're under arrest." Daniel Spring enters behind the tactical team, his expression grim but determined. He's wearing standard police armor instead of his usual expensive suits, and his enhanced eyes are bright with the adrenaline of an active operation. "Hello, Sonny. Are you all right?" The question hit Sonny with unexpected emotional force. After weeks of suspecting Daniel of corruption and betrayal, seeing his colleague risk his life to save him feels like redemption and shame combined. "Daniel, We can talk later," Daniel interrupted. "Right now, let's focus on cleaning up this mess." Charles and Hannah are surrounded, outnumbered, and clearly outmaneuvered. But Hannah's enhanced combat implants make her dangerous even in defeat. Her weapon swings toward the tactical officers, targeting systems calculating optimal firing solutions. "Don't," Sonny warns, stepping forward despite the danger. "It's over, Hannah. Surrender now, and maybe you can work out some kind of deal." For a moment, her enhanced eyes meet his, and he sees something that might be regret or simply tactical calculation. "Sorry, Sonny, but you were never part of the real plan." She pulls the trigger. But instead of targeting the police officers, she aims at Charles Belford. The neural disruptor beam catches Charles' center mass, his enhanced nervous system overloading in a cascade of electric fire. He convulses once and collapses, his brain fried beyond any possibility of recovery or resurrection. "Why?" Sonny asks, even as the tactical officers swarm over Hannah, restraining her with neural inhibitor cuffs that disable her enhanced reflexes. "Charles was always the real monster. I was just following orders. But some lines, even I won't cross." She looks back at Sonny one final time, and for an instant he sees something that might be the woman he'd fallen in love with. Complex, conflicted, and ultimately unknowable. For what it's worth, some of it was real. She called out and said, "For what it's worth, some of it was real." Then she's gone, taken into custody by officers who will process her through a justice system that may or may not be equipped to handle the complexities of enhanced criminals and corporate conspiracy.
6 months later, Detective Sonny Nakamura sits in his favorite late-night diner, watching the neon-soaked streets of Neo-Chicago through rain-streaked windows. The Moor Corporation scandal has dominated news feeds for months, exposing corruption networks that stretched from street-level dealers to orbital governors. Alice Moor was cleared of all criminal charges and has become something of a folk hero, the corporate executive who risked everything to expose corruption within her own organization. The Moor Corporation, under new management and enhanced oversight, continues to provide essential services throughout the solar system.
Daniel Spring sits across from him, no longer hiding his relationship with Marcus Chen, the financier whose investment advice had made Daniel wealthy enough to afford the lifestyle that had aroused Sonny's suspicions. "Any word from the trial?" Daniel asks, stirring synthetic cream into his coffee. "Hana's cooperating with prosecutors, providing evidence about criminal networks throughout the system. She'll probably get life instead of execution." "And how do you feel about that?" Sonny considers the question, watching delivery drones navigate between the tower complexes like mechanical insects. 3 years of partnership, of shared dangers and intimate moments, reduced to courtroom testimony and plea bargains. "I don't know," he admits finally. "Part of me still cares about her, even knowing what she did. Part of me thinks she deserves whatever she gets. And part of me wonders if I ever really knew her at all. Maybe that's the point. Maybe in a world of enhanced humans and artificial personalities, authentic connection is rarer than we think." They sit in comfortable silence, two cops processing the complexities of a case that challenged everything they thought they knew about loyalty, justice, and truth. Outside, Neo-Chicago continues its eternal dance of light and shadow, corporate power and human struggle, crime and punishment. In some maximum security facility, Hana Cruz is probably analyzing data streams and planning appeals that will never succeed. Somewhere else, other criminals are building new conspiracies and corrupting new systems. But for now, in this moment, two honest cops share coffee and conversation in a city that, despite all its flaws, still offers the possibility of justice. The neon signs flicker and pulse, painting the future in electric dreams and digital nightmares, while humans and their enhanced descendants continue the ancient dance of predator and prey, hunter and hunted, betrayer and betrayed. In Neo-Chicago, everyone delivers something. The question is whether you can trust what's in the package.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more stories.